Welcome back, this is Shadowcoast and we are playing Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, including both DLC content, the reinforcement pack, as well as the Broken Alliance. Now in this episode, we are going to talk about how to deploy your fleet early game. By early game, I mean that is up to Chapter 5, before unlocking the Ranger and the Artemis Battlestar. So what we're going to do here is we're going to fight an early game battle. Now, I am bringing to bear a fair amount of force. And here, let's see here. This is Taron and Caprica. So we do want to jump to Caprica so we can re-secure it. Because they have defected due to negative presence of a Cylon, or destabilizing presence of these Cylons.
Escort group is engaging hostiles.
So we're going to fight this battle. The Cylon fleet is a little bit lower power. Alright, so we're going to talk about deploying. Now, in this particular scenario, we are not sure where the enemy is going to come into play. So whenever that happens, what I like to do is deploy a little further back. Now, when we say early game, I am considering that we have 3 primary ships, assuming you have the reinforcement pack. So the first ship is a Corvette. Whenever you're placing your Corvettes, I like to place them fairly high, as long as we plan on not letting them take too much damage. In this case, we have Adamants, which are our second type. It's a frigate, and they're actually very good at tanking. Alright, so the reason that we want to put the Corvette higher is because its primary cannon is actually underneath, so it needs to be higher than the target it's firing on. It does have 2 smaller turrets in the back, but I do prefer to use that main cannon to maximize damage. So we're going to put them in the back here. We're going to put them up high. The next ship that we have at our disposal is the Berserk. Now this is part of the reinforcement pack, so if you don't get the DLC, you don't have to worry about this ship. It is a fairly good ship. It is considered a carrier. So down here we can see the Berserk carrier is what it's called, and we actually want to put the Berserks a little bit lower. So whenever we're fighting an enemy, we want to make sure that we're slightly underneath them. Their main turrets are on the side. Then the next ship, this is kind of the mainstay tanking ship until we start producing the Artemis carrier, is the Adamant. The Adamant's got fairly good, it's like a jack of all trades and fairly heavily armored. It does have a munition slot. So here we can see here we have both a slot for a squadron. Now, this is early game. In Chapter 5, spoiler alert, we do unlock the Mark II Viper. I am going to pop in 2 Mark II Vipers just to see how they perform. I think they'll be good anti-fighter cover. Now, for the Adamant, we want them to usually be a little bit lower than the target for the primary weapons broadsides to work. That being said, I like to use my Adamants more as tanks than actual damage dealers, so because of that I try to keep them mid-level. The reason I want to keep them mid-level is that I can rotate them around so they take damage from the top, the bottom, the front, the back, and each side.
Prepare to jump in 3,
Now,
2,
in deploying
1.
it, right, I was focused on the elevation. In this case, because I don't know where the enemy is, I'm trying to deploy towards the back of the grid and towards the center back of the grid. So this way, no matter where they come from, the left, the right, we will be prepared and we can turn to face them in the formation we want. So in this case, we have 2, 4, 6 enemies to the left. Now if I went too far up, they might have been able to come behind us, giving us less time to get in position.
Understood.
Now, in this battle, like I said, we are going to start raising the majority of our fleet a little bit higher. The Adamants will be tanking,
So say we all.
or at least we want 2 of the Adamants to tank. And so because of that, we are trying to elevate them. Now, the Berserk is lower. I am trying to bring it a little bit on par. When you have to be lower, you only have to be a little bit lower, right? It doesn't actually do that much good to be significantly lower, significantly higher in either case, and the reason that is because you want to be able to spread damage and rotate around. I am trying to get my Manticore higher. Alright, so we are turning to face them. Now, I made a critical error here before I clicked. Always deploy your Vipers, right? You want them out ready to go as soon and as fast as possible. Alright, now we do have a ton of Vipers.
Yes, sir.
We're just cycling through. Now, one question you
Understood.
might have asked is, why didn't I upgrade to Mark II for everything?
Launching
And
alert
that is
Vipers.
because if we look at it, the Mark II only has 8 fighters, while the Viper Mark I has 10 fighters. Also, the Mark II Vipers have less armor, so they can take less hits, but they are faster, right? So they're able to
So
run
say
out
we
there and deploy a lot faster. Now, what I'm doing here is intentionally keeping
Yes,
my
Commander.
Berserkers further back, and I'm trying to bring out my Adamants. So much so that I'm actually going to try to boost here a little
Understood.
bit to meet the enemy. Alright, so these guys are getting a little close, but that's okay. Alright, so now we know that they're
Hostile
going to
unit
come into
identified.
range. So we see this guy, and what I'm actually going to do here is we're going to start turning
Yes, Commander.
our main damage dealers, which are our Berserks, to be able to bring their weapons to bear. Now, what I like to do with the Berserks is go all out damage. We're keeping them in the back, intentionally in the back, and they are there to deal damage, not take damage. Now, these two
Yes, sir.
Berserks, this one, I thought one of them was boosted. There we go. These two Berserks, or excuse me, these two Adamants
On it, Commander.
are most likely going to take the most damage. And that's what we want them to do. They're going to be a little further out front. So because of that, we are actually going to boost their defense. And this guy has our officer in it, so we're actually going to keep him back here. But obviously we don't want to hit. Alright. Now, one thing we like to do is focus fire enemies
Missiles
down
on their way.
as we can. So we happen to have 4 adamants. We're gonna send 4 missiles. Oops, we're gonna send 3 missiles because
Fighter squadron is taking
now,
fire.
this is interesting.
Missiles
Look,
incoming.
they're focusing down
Berserk is
my
taking
Berserk,
damage.
and you can see here that unfortunately his top armor is depleted.
Yes, Commander.
Alright, we are going to be doing some focus firing now. They're just so much higher than us that we can erode their bottom armor, which is fine. But we do want to alright, so there was 1 adamant. That's not an adamant.
Understood.
C-141. Go after 141. Alright, so now one thing that I haven't done here is assign groups. The advantage of assigning groups, so both our Mark IIs are going to be in a group. We're going to throw 2 Mark 1s in a group and 2 Mark 1s in another group. Now, the advantage of the group is that if you assign one person in the group a target, both of them will take it on. Alright, so you see they're starting out 32, 34. I'm trying to remember if it was higher, but the Mark IIs looks like 34 hull is the max, where you have 40 hull is the max for the Mark 1s. Alright. so
Understood.
you guys kind of take out that other target. You guys take out that target. Now, one thing we recommend that you always do, and you can actually click T down here to focus fire, is focus fire down an enemy one at a time. Alright, so what we're going to do here is 141 across the board. So you can click turrets, or you can click T once you select a target. Excuse me, once you select one of your ships over here. Oops. Alright, so we are moving this guy, and we actually want to bring him up,
Yes, Commander.
and we're also going to go all defense because they are beating the heck out of him.
Berserk is taking damage.
So we are trying to punch through. Now this Berserk looks to be continuing to be beaten up. We're trying to increase our elevation. All our ships are staying steady. None of them are going to hit. This guy's, we're trying to get higher. Now, is anyone else taking damage? So we're looking at the right. This Adamant, who has our officer, and it is. This one is also taking a hit, so that's good to keep defense. And this one is not getting hit. So the ones that are not being targeted, we're going to really push that attack and try to take out this target. So
Berserk is taking damage.
this Adamant is being hacked. Alright, so one thing I like to do after a turn or two is always check your Dratus radar map. So here you can click M. Now you can see that they're breaking through. They also have, it appears, one fighter squadron left. So once we wrap that guy up, our fighters can actively work on it. Now what I would like to do here, again, we're trying to increase our elevation to get
Yes, sir.
in a position where we can... Uh-oh, we're boarded.
Yes,
And
Commander.
we are hacked. Alright, fire control still going on. You are hacked. Engineering, you're just kind of tanking. So your top and left side is shot. So we're gonna rotate you to the right a little bit. Alright, so one thing we want to do here
Understood.
is reprioritize a target. And here you are boarded. What does that mean for us? You guys are duking it out. You can still target that guy. Now we're targeting this one that's slightly behind because that should be in range. Alright, that Berserk isn't doing much of anything. This one we want to turn. We are trying to increase elevation a little bit. And the Manticore targeting. Now one thing you always want to do is check your missiles. So next turn we'll be able
Berserk
to
is
fire
taking
2 or
damage.
3 missiles, which we will want to do. Alright, our Mark IIs, let's see. Heavy Raider Squadron, get on them. Is that only that Heavy Raider Squadron? Yeah,
Squadron target is confirmed.
take them out. Take him out.
On it, Commander.
Now, we do have missiles on a lot of our adamants. that have come down. So we're again taking out these
Missiles on their way.
Nemesis mainly because we just don't have to deal with them anymore. And our Manticore and the other Adamant still has 1 turn. Alright, so we're rotating through, we're looking at damage. They're really just pounding this guy. We're trying to show our right side because it still has some armor. And I don't think he's gonna make it, so his rear. Turn to his right side. $21. Repairing engineering. Hacked. Fire control, not good. Boarded. Alright.
On it, Commander. Understood.
Alright. So this Berserk is getting hammered. The only armor it has left is bottom, front, and rear. So we're gonna try to elevate it
So say we all.
as we move.
Yes, sir.
And let's see here. We've taken out the Heavy Raider Squadron. We're going to take out 136. And we're going to bring to bear every fighter squadron we have. Now, one thing you have to figure out is if we should always replace everyone with Mark IIs. Might make sense. Because here you can see 27. This Mark II is untouched. This Mark II is relatively untouched.
Berserk
Alright.
is taking damage.
And this Berserk is... You're trying to keep it alive. Rear, bottom. Check our Dratus. Contact. What are you? You're still just being boarded. Okay.
So say we all.
We are going to come off of this guy
So say we all.
and
Yes, Commander.
fire missiles on that guy. You know it. Fire missiles on that guy. And this guy is gonna come
On it, Commander.
around. So we're coming around to kind of punch through us. And what we're doing here, coming around.
Yes, Commander. Subsystem is back online.
Our fighters are tanking some
Berserk
of the
is
damage.
taking damage. Yes, sir.
Alright. So let's see. it's moving
Berserk is taking damage.
out of range. These guys are doing some great work. This Berserk is toast. I
Understood.
don't think we can save it. Now, one thing we can do though is work on this guy. And that's okay if we lose that Berserk. I mean, fire system controls. Alright. We've been working on that a while. Let's work on the armory. When you take
Missiles
or
on their
try
way.
to repair a subsystem, you can't
Yes,
use
sir.
it. So if we do fire control, we can't use fire control. Unfortunately.
Berserk is taking damage.
So it got the Berserk, unfortunately. And now you can see the Berserk does some serious work, pounding away on him. Let me check this. Alright, that guy's almost down. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move
Yes, sir.
everybody towards this
On
dude.
it, Commander. On it, Commander. So say we all. Yes, Commander.
This guy should be going down 6 fighter squadrons. Just eviscerate him. I am really liking those Mark IIs. So we just send them out there. The Mark 1s. There's one over here. And as we are flying, I don't know. I think we're gonna just have all the adamants face that guy and see what happens. The front is down,
Missiles incoming!
and they are firing on our other.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Alright, he's turning into our Berserk. And we're gonna turn these guys around to the best of our ability. And we're gonna fire a bunch of. Now we want to keep our guys spread out a little bit and just make sure that we don't friendly fire hit them with our own torpedoes or missiles, because
Missile
we
tubes
can hit them with our own missiles. So it's kind of a messy show, guys. I'm a little disappointed we lost that Berserk, but such is life. Alright, so we can see that the fighters mopped up that last nemesis for us. And here, we do have them surrounded because he ran into the middle of us. Ideally here, one of the strategies was trying to get everyone above him, so we all hit the top. Right, so you want your ships, you can spread them out, just make sure that you know, they're hitting the same angle. So are they all hitting in the front, or they're all hitting from the side, back, or top? Then you're optimized. So let's see what we did here, how we did. So first of all, I think we did deploy as high as possible, so they are coming in with the advantage of coming in from above. I believe their nemesis are similar to our manticores, where they need to be higher. Alright, so they immediately went for the Berserk, who was a little further back, but not far enough back. And they did spread some damage on our adamants. Now we wanted them to hit our adamants. One thing I could have done is put more of them full attack earlier. Alright, so we focus one down. I also should have reprioritized our fighters on their heavy fighter squadron that boarded our officer's ship. That was a missed piece because you can see they're going off after they take the lighter fighters out. They're heading to fight the capital ships. So I should have had them locked on those heavy raider squadrons a lot earlier. Now here you can see it's a little messy because they kind of punched through us and are firing. I didn't do a good job. What I probably should have done better was move the fleet in a coordinated fashion to focus fire. So that's something I recommend that you do, right? And so an example here is, right, they're all kind of lined up, or at least two of the adamants are lined up here a little bit. If we had all four lined up, able to broadside the same target at close range, it probably would have crumbled a lot faster. Now deploying or moving our fighters onto the Talon, it does distract a little bit, so there, if you can see, they're firing into our fighter squadrons. Our Mark 1s took a lot of damage. We lost our Berserk there. And then we do have a nice kind of missile wall focusing them down. So early game, if you have the reinforcement pack, I highly recommend you have a strong adamant and berserk build. I would say you probably want 2 to 3 adamants if you can get them, and either 3 or 4 berserks, and then you can fill out the rest with manticores. Now, berserks are extremely lightly armored. I think they have 45 on most sides, where the adamants have, I think, in the 60. And I think the adamants have a slightly stronger hull. I think it's like, 10 more than the berserk. However, with the berserk's lack in armor and the fact that they don't have guided missiles, they make up for with their turret batteries. And I think we should, so for example here, this berserk 2 kills, the other berserk was kind of defensive mode. Yeah, we have an adamant with 1. So the berserk is definitely a damage dealer, and here you can see adamants have 80 hull, berserk has 70. So they're a great ship if you do get the reinforcement pack. So remember, berserks you're going to want to be slightly lower, adamants you're going to want to be equal or lower, right? If you're utilizing them like tanks like me, you want them to be on an equal plane, because then you can take some damage from the top, you can take some damage from the bottom. Or if you're too far low or too far high, you're only going to take damage from the top or the bottom, which isn't good. It's harder to spread it around. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this episode. We were kind of looking at deployment patterns early game. We will be doing kind of the early mid game where we unlock our first Battlestar as well as the Ranger ships, which are coming up in a future episode. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one, and please post. I'm by no means an expert at this game. am enjoying playing through and kind of bringing my strategic lens as I progress, but I'm always open to recommendations on how to improve. Thanks for watching. See you later.